It's the Friday Feels, and we're back with your first sip of the weekend. You're now tuned in to this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. I'm your host, Nicole Carmine, and it's amazing to have you here, joining me this week as we uncover the truths about being a human and a working professional. What are you up to this Friday? Well, whatever it is, this moment is just for you. And we're back with another episode of the Feels podcast, Your Happy Hour, and we are still talking about the theme, relieving achieving. And today I have a really special guest to join me to chat about this. I'm so pleased to have met Nelson through a fellow South African friend who I randomly met here in Paris. Nothing like random. It's all kind of meant to be, and for us to have this chat today. So I want to welcome Nelson Amenya, you to the Feel Space and the Your Happy Hour podcast. It's really wonderful to have you here. I know you've got such an incredible bio. I can't wait to dive into this conversation and hear what this topic means to you. So a big welcome.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thanks for having me. And of course, thanks to Vincent for making this happen. I'm excited for the call and, for the discussion ahead.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, I wanted to actually just dive in a little bit. I know you've shared a little bit with me of what you've done and your journey, but I do feel like you can tell the story a lot better than I can. I know you do strategy consulting work, you've been like a public interest advocate and a lot of different things, but maybe just tell us a little bit about like what brought you to this place where you are today and what's your journey been like?
I don't know. It's always a long story for me. I'll try to keep it short.
Okay.
So I did an undergraduate in Kenya, and it was in graphic design and advertising. So I'm basically a designer. I was working in Carrefour as head of design and branding department for about 4.5 years before I decided to call it quits. It was a great stint, but I felt like I needed a bigger challenge. And to do that, I thought maybe I should do an MBA. So that's how I landed in Paris. My boss and my director were very supportive, actually, because both of them were alumni of HEC Paris. So it was quite easy to make the transition to Paris. So in 2023, August, I joined HEC for my MBA. So I was in my MBA for 16 months. During my MBA, something happened. So I became a whistleblower, and it was, it became global news because I exposed a $2 billion deal that was between the Kenyan government and an Indian conglomerate called Adani. So I went public with the information and the documents, and eventually it was cancelled, along with another contract that they had already signed with Kenya. So in total, it was about $3 billion. So from there onwards, my journey has been not, normal. I thought I'll finish my MBA, join MBB, become a consultant, The path was all set for me, as a normal MBA student, or, the career path is always almost the same for all of them. But for me, it was a bit different. So I finished my stint at Carrefour, joined my MBA in Paris. In the middle, I became a global news item. And then, right now I do independent consulting. I consult for different companies like Global Resilience Partnership, they provide funding for climate resilient projects and also agricultural innovation in the global south. So I do mentorship and also some innovation work as well for them. I also provide advisory for some high net worth individuals based in Dubai, and mostly they invest in Africa. So that's why, that's where I come in. Yeah, so this is a short description of who I am and what I'm currently doing. Lastly, I also have a small, I call it a pet project because it's not yet big. So I'm trying to map out demand for low-cost carriers, so low-cost airlines in Africa, because traveling across Africa is so expensive and fragmented. So the market is not consolidated like, for example, Europe. Take, for example, traveling to from Paris to London, it could be like 40 euro or 30, like very cheap. But if you take the same distance in Africa, it could be maybe 400 euro. So it's ridiculously expensive, and I'm trying to map demand for low-cost, airlines, so that we can push policy makers to lower tariffs, because some countries have extremely high tariffs. Like some countries in West Africa charge up to $300 per passenger. It's crazy. Before the airfare for the airline, you have to charge 300 because the government is taking so much money. Yeah, so governments in Africa needs to stop seeing air travel as a luxury, but, as a means of production and, movement of goods and services and people. Yeah, so that's my main objective, and also to show the demand to investors or airlines that would come and, make the investment and make people move, easily. The last thing about this Pan-African Sky project is that Africa does not have enough rail travel, rail infrastructure. It doesn't have enough roads across different countries, interstate or international road network. So which means it's only airlines that would be the fastest way to integration. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing this small pet project on the side.
That is not small, but that's amazing. I really love that. And thank you for taking us on the journey. Wow. You've had quite a life story already. I mean, I'd like to dive into a little bit more of this theme, but before I do that, I'm curious what it felt like to you to be a whistleblower. I used to work in financial crime investigation before this change of life as well, and I think a lot of people want to be anonymous, stay kind of in the shadows with that, and so it's really, I think, beautiful that you can embrace that and that you have stepped into saying, like, I'm happy to speak up, and look how your life has changed because of that, and it should be celebrated that's the case. So yeah, how did that feel for you? Like, did it feel like a sense of achievement maybe, or was, just share a little bit with us.
I guess at that moment, it didn't feel like anything. It felt like, first of all, I didn't think it's going to be that big. I thought, it's going to be just creating some kind of awareness and that's it. Nothing's going to happen. I am not really that consequential at the end of the day. So going into the expose or, going into that whistleblowing, I didn't think it's going to make, global headlines. I guess that's part of the reason why I did it, because I did not understand the magnitude of it. Yeah, but after, yes, of course, it's a big achievement because the deals were cancelled. Eventually, the public won, over the private interests or corporate interests, which are never really aligned to public interest, everywhere. It's not only in Kenya. So yeah, I feel like it's a big achievement. And the fact that it brought me, it took me into another, level. Like, as I told you, my path was a bit, my path was a normal MBA path, but now it's different. It's given me purpose, My career is not just about making money, but about purpose, and making social impact, which was really at the heart of, what I was trying to achieve, but I didn't know how. So I thought maybe consulting will be the it. to achieving this. But now I'm doing it on my own because of, the whistleblowing. So the whistleblowing became like a platform for me to express what I always wanted to do.
I love that the universe kind of gave you that opportunity and you stepped into it, you took it. And last month we spoke about repurposing purpose and what it means to have a purpose. Yeah. And, kind of one of the last episodes I did by myself. And it was also just an exploration of the word purpose and where that came from. It was kind of like this alignment. We got to the point where we discovered that the word purpose really was always meant to be like what something is intended for in alignment. So I feel like you've really like stepped into alignment with that. You saw opportunity and you were given that, presented that and you aligned with it. So how has that played out for you now? If we go back to the theme, relieving, achieving, and what's that's meant for you in your life, maybe before all this happened or how it's changed after all this happened?
Yeah, well, as we were speaking, before we started to record, relieving the word. Yeah, so for me, I think relieving achievement is basically stopping the achievement from being like a drug. Achievement can be, it's a high, right? It's like being high. So if you're not careful, you might not stop chasing the high. Because once you're up, everybody is applauding you, everyone is calling you a hero, you're on the pages of, global news outlets, you might be tempted to continue chasing the high. But it's important to relieve, the achievement and come back, to the fundamentals that led you to the achievement. By relieving that achievement and, sort of like letting it go, then you set yourself up for, even more achievement because you're going back to the fundamentals. You're not, chasing, it's very tempting to chase clicks and to chase likes, and to chase praise. But it's important to relieve and go back to the basics.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something that's hard for us humans to do because we're conditioned to chase the dopamine, the high, and we feel good because other humans like us, and it's a strange experience. But in the end of the day, you have to feel good in your heart when you go to bed and you're like, okay, this is the reason I did that. So how do you find that you relieve that? Do you have like certain mechanisms or something that you tell yourself, or what's been like your journey in that?
I think the most important thing for me is to have not really accountability partners, but to have people that can, I don't know if I should use this word, but people that can call out your bullshit. So, people that can come to you and say, I don't think you're making the right decision or you're doing the right thing. Maybe you need to change, and do this. So I have people like this and I'm very grateful for them. But sometimes I know it's not easy to listen to what they have to say because it's not something that, you're used to, people praising you and, telling you, yeah, you're doing the right thing, continue. But then other people will come and tell you, no, I don't think you should continue in that track. Maybe you should do this. So that has been a very big part of it. And also just to sometimes stop and look at everything that is happening and try to think, could I do something different, or could I do some things better? So that's really helpful, not to just move, sometimes you just look at everything and analyze them.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And we don't often, last week we spoke on the podcast, we also spoke to Sine, and she was such a great guest. And she also spoke about the topic of making space to do that, because we don't do that often enough, But I really love the accountability partners, because I think that if you surround yourself with the right tribe for you, and you might not agree with, like you say, with what everyone says. You might not have to listen to that because you have your own voice in your heart that you follow. But it's so important to keep perspective and people that really appreciate you and have good intentions and all of that. So what has been like the best advice that someone gave you along your journey that you carry with you?
I think it's not only one. If I think it's many small pieces of advice that I always remember along the way that I think keep me going, and in different stages also of my life. Like during this moment, when I was exposing Adani, I was very close to my professor at school at HEC Paris, and he has been really, really helpful. He was giving me very good advice, on what I should do, how I should interact with people. He's been very instrumental to me. And also, there's I have a friend who was he's a former ambassador to Kenya from the US, and he is one of the people actually that keep me very accountable. And one time he came to me and he told me that so I used to post a lot on my X account, and he was like, I think you should post maybe 2 to 3 times a day and reply to all your comments. So in my mind, first of all, I was like, I get hundreds of comments per post. How will I get the time to reply to all those comments? Yeah, so but if you think about it, then it means if you have to reply to all your comments, then you have to post less. So like have one post and then reply to all the comments, because there'll be too many for you to post another one. So this was kind of interesting to listen to. And he also told me one time, so I was posting a lot. Once you expose something, people are expectant of you to post more exposes. So he gave me an example. He was in the Senate in the US, and he kept attacking people, trying to keep them accountable. And then one day one of the elder senators called him and told him, we appreciate, that you're very passionate and about your job, but sometimes you don't have to pick every fight. Don't pick every battle. Just, don't make yourself a target of everyone by fighting everything. Sometimes just, let other people, take the bullet. If so to say, so to speak, let them take the bullet. Because if you put yourself as a target always, then you might not last long. You will die sooner. But if you only choose your battles, then it means you will have less targets on you, and you will fight better, and obviously you will have bigger impact. So that was super helpful. It kind of now brought the whole, there was a lot of pressure for you to keep, exposing other things, but exposing more things means having more targets on your back, and it means you're spreading yourself thin, and a lot is happening. But if you only focus on the most important battles, you become more effective and you have more impact.
I think that's such great advice, and I can imagine that it's interesting because here was this opportunity that presented itself to you. It's not like you woke up one day and you were like, I'm now going to go chase these exposés. This is what I'm going to do for my life. But it came to you and you took the opportunity, and that led you into the life you are now. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep doing that, and I agree, because I feel like often what happens when we try to achieve or look for those highs, like we were talking about, you end up taking on so much more, whether that's like you're an entrepreneur and you have like tons of ventures, or you are, working a 9 to 5 for someone and you keep taking on projects, or you keep saying, here I am, I'd like be the yes man. You are going to burn out. You are going to get to a point where you're not necessarily looking after yourself and not taking aligned action. I was chatting to someone recently who was saying, her word for the year is aligned action. And I think that's such a great thing to do when you're kind of looking for finding what is your purpose in achievement as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing that advice. And I was going to ask you, like, did you know you were going to do this 10 years ago? But your story is completely different. So I don't think that really that question. Yeah,
10 years ago I was a designer.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just wonderful to see. You didn't expect yourself to land in this position. I feel like a lot of people kind of go from like more corporate to artistic, and you've kind of, it seems like you've done the opposite.
That's true. Actually, I think I was the only graphic designer in the MBA. Like, there was lawyers, doctors, engineers, business people. I was already, in management level in Carrefour, but it was in, design in the arts, because I was the head of department in a creative department. So yeah, it was quite peculiar to have me in a business school.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, it's something that I find artists need a lot of, is understanding business, because I often talk about this, but everyone should be an entrepreneur. As an artist, you're also an entrepreneur. And so we should be seeing more people as artists being able to embrace business side of things, and I almost want to say, like, the public and the private, the arts and the public coming together to create wonderful future for us. So yeah, well, I mean, what do you feel is looking forward to for you in the next year? Like, what can we celebrate with you as the field?
It's I always think the future is unknown, but we have to prepare for it, by making plans and goals. Yeah, so one of my goals actually in the next year is to go back to Kenya. Like, I would like to visit Kenya, because at the moment I'm not able to go to Kenya. So I hope by next year I'll be able to go back to Kenya, Also, I hope my Pan-African Sky project is going to be validated, and we can, push for policy change and try to push investment into, low-cost carriers in Africa. I know, like, for example, in South Africa, there's one. In Kenya, there's one low-cost airline, but they're too small to expand into the African space. But also, the policy needs to change. They cannot come into a space where the policy is still very rigid and there is no integration in the airspace. Yeah, so I hope that changes in the next 1 year. And thirdly, I'm looking forward to actually working with one of my clients. They are looking in to fund infrastructure projects, but it's very interesting what they want to do. They have a system that keeps governments accountable through their procurement systems. So for governments to receive funding, for example, for infrastructure, for roads, whatever, they have to have some level of transparency in their procurement systems. This is really cool, and yeah, I'm looking forward to how it will evolve in the coming year.
Oh, that all sounds super exciting, and we hope that you get to make it back to Kenya. When you do, tag us so we can celebrate with you.
I will.
Of course, we will let everyone know how to find you on the socials too. And for everyone listening, I wonder kind of what you're feeling about this theme for the month, relieving, achieving, and yeah, how are you taking a moment to ground, and what tribe do you have around you that is keeping you accountable in those hard decisions? And I also want to give a quick shout out as a thank you to the people who keep us accountable and make this possible, which are our partners, and that is rss.com. They are our distribution partner. We get to share this podcast into the world through them. And then also to Blender Bombs, which are these delicious snacks. And both of these companies have given our audience a beautiful discount. You can DM us on the socials, and especially for Blender Bombs, you get a 20% discount if you order some of their goodies. So thank you to them. Thank you for making it possible. And then I also would like to give what we do here, Nelson, is we call out person, place, or space. We call it our PPS, that have the feels. And this week's shout out goes to It's a franchise. They have about 4 different spots in Paris. I'm sure maybe you've been there. It's called Rosa Bonheur, and it's a really cool place to dance. There's 2 of them are like boats on the Seine, and then there's one in Bouchemont, which is a beautiful park. And I've had the pleasure of I love dancing. So it's, you were talking earlier about making people move, and I was thinking about this. It's so important for us as humans to move our bodies, and they have something going on every single day of the night, every single night of the week rather. My goodness. I need more coffee today, and except for Sundays. And it's really great to know that there's a space where you can go and move your body, and a wonderful place like Paris. So a big shout out to Rosa Bonheur for what you do, for bringing music and live acts and spaces to be moving and making moves. So we love your feels. And then I want to move into a quick little section that we call our gems. Now, gems are like moments for you this week that you might have learned something or have gratitude. Mine has been, I had a friend visiting me from New York City, and it's a very different life that I had when I met her. And we've always kept in touch, and it's been so wonderful to experience life together in our different phases. And it's also really helped me to kind of remember that we're here to celebrate life together. We're here to share life together and make space for that. And yeah, be able to grow together has just been really beautiful. And yeah, so that was really a good gem for me to be able to hug her again in person. How about for you?
Well, I guess for me, I'm very grateful for the people, my support system, my friends. I'm very grateful for my family and everyone that has been super supportive of me. Because, without a support system, you don't really have something to fall back to, when you feel the weight of the world on you. So I'm very grateful to my friends who pick my calls and listen to my venting, those people that will not tell me they're busy anytime, when I need to meet, so I'm very grateful for such people in my life.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think friendships are just incredible, and like you say, family and support, and it's something we tend to take for granted sometimes, but I think it's one of the key things. When everything else falls away, it's like that's what's left of life, right?
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
Yeah. For them, they don't have any expectations of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the gems, really, the gems in your life. Those people who just love you for who you are. Well, that's beautiful. I love that. And I just have one more question for you. Thanks, Nelson, for sharing so much with us today. And that is our reading list. So we have a reading list called The Stack, and it's on our website. And every week we have guests come on and recommend books. Might be something that you've read and loved, or maybe it's something that's on the pile and you haven't read it yet, but something you'd like to recommend to the audience. So I want to ask you, what is in your stack?
Oh my God, I have so many books. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 books, 5 that I should read. So the one I'm reading now is Frantz Fanon, The Wretched of the Earth.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's Frantz Fanon is he's very well known to the civil rights movement in the US, and after the colonization period, he was very instrumental. His philosophy was very instrumental in the decolonization phase and the civil rights movement. He was a French guy from Martinique, and he actually studied in Paris and then worked in Algeria as a psychiatrist, I think. Yeah, it's a very interesting book. I've just finished reading another one of his books called Black Skin, White Masks, and also super interesting. So this is my current read. I also have one book by a Kenyan author, very renowned Kenyan author. It's called Decolonizing the Language. Super interesting book. Yeah, so, and other revolutionary stories. He puts out the idea that you need to learn your language, like your mother tongue, and then you can learn all other languages. But if you don't know your own language and you know all other languages, then it's he puts it as a form of colonization. So decolonizing the language means, learning your own language on top of all the other languages that you've learned. Then away from revolution. So this is my favorite business book, actually. It's called Measure What Matters. It's brilliant for anyone who wants to enter into business. If you have actually, it's for planning, and it has a concept called the OKRs, objectives and key results. So it's amazing. It's an amazing book. I would 100% recommend this book if you haven't read it.
Amazing. Those are such great recommendations. Thank you. I definitely want to delve a little bit more into the one about language. I'm fascinated by that as well. And we had someone on the podcast in season 2 who spoke about the idea of when a word doesn't exist in your language or in someone else's language, and how that changes how you interact as cultures. And yeah, it was fascinating. So I do believe that it's important to understand your language, and these revolutionary books sound really intriguing. I feel like there's so much I need to learn about that in the world, so I'll be adding those to my stack as well. And for those who are listening, you can check it out on the website. And happy reading to everyone out there. So very lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your heart and your story, and just so openly. And it's been so inspiring to chat to you and hear your journey.
It has been a pleasure to be on your podcast, Nicole. I loved it. Great discussion. And I hope to meet face to face, maybe in the dancing club.
Sounds genial. It sounds wonderful. Let's definitely do that. We can enjoy Paris. And for anyone who's coming to visit sometime, let us know and we'll take you there. So have a great rest of this beautiful week. We wish you all happy feels. If you haven't just yet, follow Friday Feels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can share with us all your feels this week by tagging us at fridayfeels.co, and you can also find the website at that handle. And now, as you ease into this weekend, take a moment. Celebrate who you've become, what you've overcome, and what is yet to come as you do the crazy and cool things that you do as the authentic you. The truth about life and work is that it's hard. But the beauty is this global working experience that you're in, well, we're in it together. So keep connecting, empowering, and inspiring this week. And of course, keep it raw and real. Until next time.